Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your mental activist Montoya Smith, once again bringing you a promo for our upcoming private podcast experience, the Black Love Dialogue. I have another amazing co-host. I'm just spending the first couple of weeks as we promote our new private podcast experience. It is a different experience. You can't find us on YouTube. You have to know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody to be a part of our Black Love Dialogue. But without further ado, let me introduce y'all to licensed therapist Michiah Dominiguez. I'm sorry. Thank you, Queen, for being with us. Newly twisted locks, year-long locks. So I highlight that and give some props. You give me the
Fresh.
inside, I'm gonna bring it to the people. But thank you for being with me today, if you will, Queen. We're gonna introduce them to you, tell them what we're doing with the Black Love Dialogue, and also let them experience a small segment of what it will be like to be a part of our private podcast experience. So again, thank you for being with us, Queen. If you will, give us some background, because I particularly wanted you on here as a licensed therapist. So if you'll give some background in regards to that, and then I'm going to tell you why I particularly chose you to be a part of our Black Love Dialogue.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you for having me as a part of this initiative because I respect the work you're doing and the desire to inform and empower our community with this information because it really is necessary. So part of the reason why I'm here and what I do, I want to bring my training to our people. I want to introduce it to us. There's only but so much work I could do one-on-one or doing couples work, doing the workshops is very limited. But in this setting, what I'm aiming to do in 2026 is really share the information, best practices, clinically speaking, what makes marriage and relationships work so that we have longevity, health, and legacy in our community.
No, absolutely. And so, as I've been introducing my host, I've been telling each of you why I chose you, if you will. And you actually came as a referral from Phyla, who we introduced last week as a
Mhm.
part of as one of our co-hosts for this private podcast experience, and she highly recommended you. And so I was able to look at you on IG, and I'm like, okay, well, I was telling her, I was like, we need a licensed therapist. Like, wow, she's an award-winning relationship coach, and we got some other amazing people who are in the mental health space or in the relationship coaching space. I was like, we got to make sure we have, like you said, clinical approaches and understanding of what's happening in current times, right? That's
Right.
what makes this so unique in the sense that modern times are very different than maybe even some of yesteryear, and how we look at marriage and how people stayed together, various situations, various reasons why that happened, and it's not happening as much, or people even avoiding, in a sense, possibly getting married or waiting longer, and a lot of different factors in that. And so I was like, we got to have someone who understands what's happening clinically as well, so we can have that to help our people. Because as I will say on every broadcast, for all the solutions and all the conversations we have specifically about helping our community, the Black community, if you will, whether it's economically, politically, and all these various solutions, they're all for naught if we don't fix the relationship between the Black man and the Black woman. And there has been an intentional approach to severing that relationship, and we're living it out now, I would say, to our community's detriment. And so, that speaks to why I chose you to be on this broadcast.
Mhm. And that's exactly what fueled me to do this type of work, just along those lines of working with individuals who have, just very severe symptoms of anxiousness, of post-traumatic stress, of severe depression, right? And the more I work with people, the better I'm able to track it all the way back to childhood. But the cornerstone of a childhood is really the parents, right? That parental unit, that marriage unit, that couple that birthed this child. So in order to effectively treat what we're seeing individually, as folks are aging and coming into adulthood and the dysfunction we see in interpersonal romantic relationships, if we're going to take it all the way back, we have to start with the cornerstone, which is the romantic partnership that begins before we birth, right? And so
Wow.
that's part of what fueled the work that I do. And I love that you mentioned in other content that truth comes in many colors, right? And so some of the training that I've received is not for, by folks who look like us. However, the truth still remains that there is research that is statistically accurate and best practices that are going to support the thriving of our relationships if we are to take heed. So my training happens to be by one of the most prestigious institutions in the United States for
Okay.
marriage philanthropy, and that is the Gottman
Okay,
Institute. So
nice.
I do come equipped with that information.
So now I understand why Fowler said we got to have Michiah. So thank you, Fowler, for getting me
Shout
this
out, Paula.
amazing sister. Shout out to her, absolutely. And
Yeah.
so, and let me bring a little context, because in current times, because of social media, because of technology, we're in the information age, right? But unfortunately, we get over information, or people or experts are not seen as experts were seen just 10 years ago, or especially 20 years ago, right? Experts are not looked at in the same thing. And so with a lot of the work that I've done with mental dialogue, I'm known for, in a sense, bringing a lot of stats and things of that nature. And so sometimes people may think I lean on them too much, but I just want to say, for the sake of this broadcast, I've always understood that robust studies, if you will, really just speak to a trend. And as you highlighted, best practices. So and I'm pointing it out because sometimes people will say, "Oh, the stats don't mean nothing," and people manipulate them. I'm like, no, if you have a comprehensive study, it gives you an opportunity that those of us who we understand that it's a trend. We're not saying it's the way it is. However, sometimes you can esteem a lot of value of say, hey, if you lean into this, there's more of a possibility to this. Like I don't have children, if you will, but I've always said, in the sense that if I had a child, the main thing that I will always give them, because they're going to be their own person eventually one day, no matter what, right? But the thing that I hope they will lean into, and the thing that I would give them, is play the numbers in your favor. Like lean on that more times than not. We're in a time now where people fight to be the exception and say, you know what I mean? You say, hey, data shows these outcomes are better in this circumstance, and somebody points to the exception, and it's like they aim for the exception. Like, do you not hear the word exception? It's the exception to it. And so I just like to kind of highlight why I thought it was necessary, as amazing as Viola and some of the other hosts are. I was like, we had to have someone who could give us those trends so that we could factor that into current time. So again, thank you for being a part of it. If you will, let me ask you you've kind of mentioned it when you were introducing yourself, but if you could dig just a little deeper, explain your why you want to be a part of this particular experience over maybe being a part of a public podcast where people can just find it on the YouTube. There's a reason why we're going private, right? And so if you just kind of speak to why this situation resonates for you, because you agree, not knowing me. Everybody else knows me personally. You're the newbie here. Why did you agree?
Oh, well, I think it's a partnership of passion, right? I could tell that you're sincere in the work that you do and the goals you have, I feel very aligned with. But I also believe, just naturally as a relationship expert, intimacy matters. So in a small group setting where it's not broadcasted, people are able to really ask the questions that they've been meaning to ask, to seek the support and receive the support that they so need in order to feel like they're growing and cultivating their relationships properly. So this was the perfect blend of, having exposure and being able to share information and expertise with larger groups of people, but not so large that it removes the element of intimacy. With intimacy comes vulnerability, comes transparency. And again, those questions can be answered, and it's a direct answer to a specific question that someone may uniquely have, as opposed to just general conversation. So yes, we may start with the general theme, topic, or clip, but we of course are going to then address the people in the room to give them the resources and support that they need. And I feel very strongly about that it is individualized and the intimacy is there.
No, absolutely. And just to give clarity to anybody who may want to be a part of our broadcast, it's not even being recorded. We call it podcast. It's a popular term. It just kind of makes it familiar. We're calling it the private podcast experience. But you in the audience, you can talk directly to, let's say, Michiah, is featured for that evening. You can bring your questions and you can talk, or you can sit back and just listen and learn. Because at the end of the day, what I want the Black Love Dialogue to be is a self-help for modern marriage. And if you think about self-help, you want to get exposed to the correct information on a consistent basis. That's what it takes, because of how our minds work and merge things together. Because, as good as the internet is with information, unfortunately, people are trying to give themselves therapy via the internet, because you can get, like, for example, we're going to play a clip. The clips alone, in a sense, they stand alone in themselves. The difference with the Black Love Dialogue is you're going to have experts like Michiah, where you're getting context, and that's the thing that gets missed. Because we're on these screens so much, we're missing one of the most vital aspects of communication. Context is everything. And because we don't communicate directly as much as we used to in the past, screens, often you lose context. How many times have you had an argument because context was lost in a text?
Right.
Like if you had said the same thing, it wouldn't even have caused the argument. But in text, you lose context. And so what I want is, like, again, you can get these, they come across my screen. They come across my screen. That's how I save these clips. However, you're going to get the context so that you can better use them or implement. Or here's the best thing: if a couple comes to our thing, come to the private podcast with us, there's these clips that you're like, I wish my mate understood this. And you can send them the clip and you hope they understand it. Well, in this situation, y'all can come together and experience this with the expert giving more context, so you both better understand the clip. So I'm really setting this up to explain in detail why what we're doing is different than being on YouTube. So without further ado, let's play a clip. We're going to get your response. If we have time, we may do 2 clips and get you out of here. But thank you for being a part of what we're doing. But let's give them an example of how this thing works. All right. So just so y'all know, Michiah has not seen this clip. We do everything live. That's kind of our niche. If you're familiar with mental dialogue over the years, everything is live. We're just getting her expertise on the spot. I think that makes it more authentic, and it's not prepared or or influenced, if that makes sense. So let me play this clip and get your response, Queen.
So everybody running around here talking about being in love, but what they don't tell you is that love is like getting a death sentence. When you are in love, and I mean true, genuine, authentic, pure love. I'm not talking about trauma bonds and chaos and drama and all that stuff. Pure, authentic, genuine love is a death sentence, but not how you think. It's a death sentence in the fact that when you are in that space of love, there are parts of you that have to die. And if you're doing it right, you're going to die over and over and over again. The love will require you to die. Genuine, pure, authentic love will require your selfishness to die. It requires your pride to die. It requires your personality quirks that are against and opposite of love. They have to die. Anything that you have in you that is opposite of pure, authentic love has to go if you're doing it right. So yes, it is a death sentence. And what they also don't tell you is that it's a life sentence as well. Meaning that when the parts of you that are opposite of love have died from your death sentence, that creates space. And guess what fills that space? Life. You get new life. So instead of selfishness, instead of pride, instead of those things, now you have compassion, you have care, you have empathy, you have concern, you are filled with love, you have life now. And then the last part that they don't tell you about is resting in peace. And I don't mean death. I mean, you get to a place of resting in peace while you're still alive. You are in peace, you are in gratitude, you are in love the way that it's supposed to be, and not waiting till you die to rest in peace.
A great clip. He goes by Speaker Dominique, I think is his name. So just to give him his credit. But if you will, Michiah, your thoughts, and I'll just kind of say this as just a little piece of context, is currently, I don't think a lot of us understand that going into our marriages. So I think the expectations are often misunderstood. And I feel like what he's saying is an opportunity to have better expectations. And I think that could really set people up for success. But your thoughts, Queen?
I couldn't agree more. I think he said it perfectly. And I think that relationships with others are very reflective of our relationship with ourselves. And if we are to grow and develop, there are parts of us that are going to have to be pruned and buried with every season of progression. So if we're not doing that to develop individually, then it's going to be really hard to see the importance of doing that in relationship. Our relationships are going to reflect the work that we do personally for ourselves, within ourselves first, and and that ongoing work. So a commitment to understanding relationships, the importance of dying to the things that are probably killing you, but then will kill the relationship as well. We get a mirrored experience in marriage to show us what needs to be pruned and what needs to be buried in order to continue to grow and have new life, renewed life in the longevity of a marriage and the commitment that we're making to it.
Yeah, and just to highlight, you highlight on your page that you, as a licensed therapist, post-divorce, that's something that you specialize in.
Yes.
And so I think that's something that we should bring to the table just for the moment, from the standpoint that, again, thinking about what he said, and in a sense, some people do want to take that second shot. The reality is, if you just go by the trends and the numbers, second marriages actually failed at a higher rate than actual initial marriages in general, right? And so
exponentially so.
Absolutely. So with the Black Love Dialogue, if you happen to be in that situation, we're going to help you not be in that number, right? We want to help you be in a number that, in a sense, if you want to take a second shot and get it right the second time, we want to make sure we give you that information. And so I love when he says, you know, these different parts, certain pride, things have to die as a part of you pruning yourself, as you said. The thing is, quite often you're in a relationship, have fell in love in current times, using love as the love, whatever understanding you have of love, without ever knowing that was going to have to take place.
Right. And so you set up for failure if you're not aware that growth is an essential element of having healthy long-term relationship. But what I find interesting as well, and kind of bringing some of the statistics into this, there are 4 predictors of divorce. And I'm not talking about, oh, it could happen, it's likely. No, 4 predictors. If these 4 elements are a part of your relationship, you are headed for divorce without question. But 2 of those speak to pride. So when we resist allowing pride to die, we have defensiveness, right? We have this, I must protect myself. I must defend who I am, how I do things, and not allowing that growth, resisting the change is going to then put one of those 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, as they call it, right? One of those 4 is going to be a part of this relationship and cause its downfall. So defensiveness is one, but contempt is the other. So if you're resistant to hearing feedback and you believe you're better than your partner, you know better, and only you are able to give constructive feedback and expect your partner to grow, that contempt, this nose up attitude, is the most powerful predictor of divorce.
Right. I've seen that myself.
When we don't give into the process of growth, of pruning, of dying to ourselves daily and committing ourselves to the legacy of marriage, then what we have are 2 out of the 4, the predictors of divorce, and we don't want that.
No, absolutely. And again, creating the correct expectations. You could be an amazing person yourself. The 2 of you just have decided to spend your life together. And if, again, as you say, if you don't understand this growth, and here's the hard part, growth, everybody would say, oh yeah, I want to grow. I expect to grow.
Right.
We'll help explain what growth, how difficult it actually can be and how it feels. Because without that understanding, you will grow to resent your partner, and you both were good people and decided to spend your lives together, and then often feel completely opposite at that time that y'all decide to part. And that resentment is unavoidable if you didn't know what growth actually was. It's unavoidable. Right. Know what it is. So those are the type of things we'll help you with. I got 2 minutes. I'm gonna give you one more clip and let you get out of here, just because we got 2 more minutes.
So here's 3 reasons why emotional intelligence is the most important thing in a partner. First, emotional safety becomes the foundation of the relationship. And this is really important because it creates a space where you can be seen, you can be heard, you can be safe to be real and your authentic self. You don't have to hide anything. You can say what needs to be said, and it will be received and it won't be taken personally. Secondly, they don't weaponize your vulnerability. They don't use your pain against you. They actually hold it, and they hold it with love, with presence, with empathy and compassion. And third, they take responsibility instead of deflecting blame. Imagine how easy and light it would feel to be with someone that hears you, accepts responsibility, and in the middle of conflict, they don't spiral into defensiveness. They pause, they reflect on their own part and how they were responsible for the conflict in the first place. And this turns arguments into opportunities for growth instead of cycles for pain.
So that's Danny Morrell with another great clip. That taking responsibility and not into defensiveness is not something we practice, generally speaking, throughout our lives. So to have to do it inside of a relationship can be very new.
Yeah. For the sake of not reiterating everything that he just said, because yes, yes to all of it. But the flip side of that coin, and what I often work with clients around, is, are you that type of partner that is emotionally mature? I know we like to focus on what type of partner we need, deserve, and want, but are you in fact a safe space? Are you able to be vulnerable? Are you able to hold space for someone else's emotions without taking personal offense? So when we look at this list of expectations that we have for others, and I agree, we should all have a standard and set expectations very early on when we start dating and enter into, an engagement process and get that type of counseling and support. We also have to be introspective. Am I able to do the very things that I'm calling my partner to do? Even when we feel like we are the most emotionally mature and can listen, can we also speak? Do we know what feelings words to use when we are overstimulated or overwhelmed? How do we respond to others around us? Can we self-soothe? Right? Can we sit still enough to observe context, to hear what's being said and what's not being said, and to be loving even when we're angry? Are we able to do that?
Right.
And so the work is twofold. It's not just knowing what we need to receive, but being able to extend that to others as well.
Absolutely, because the brain is an amazing thing. You're the expert here, right? You have all this information, and here's the reality: even knowing is not the answer. It's doing, and so the brain will respond the way it will respond when you say turn it on the other person, or can you give that safe space? Are you able to do those things? So what happens is you can, like you said, you can be the emotionally mature one that often is emotionally mature. However, your brain can be triggered, and when it becomes emotional, you will fall out of your knowing.
Oh, yes.
And react the exact same way. So when you, like you said, when you turn it back, can you do it? People have not often thought of that because they're just going by most of the times when they are mature, when they are that way. When your brain goes into reaction, it doesn't matter what you know.
Sometimes those things just are fleeting, and we all have blind spots. So it I think reinforces the importance of what you're doing here through this private podcast. It's that we get to expand our vision, to look at our blind spots and be honest with ourselves in that space, ask the right questions, and have practice with seeing how it feels to show up differently.
No, absolutely. So thank you for, introducing, allow me to introduce you to the people.
Absolutely.
8 p.m. Sunday night, January the 25th. We'll be giving more details. I'm going to have Michiah on one more time because I'm going to keep showing y'all our hosts so you know who you're getting. You get some real people, and you're actually getting access to experts. Actually, even though you're going to have to pay for the podcast, really it's going to be a steal for getting access. And my ultimate goal is that, some of you decide, you know what, I actually want to work with some of the experts. I'm working with one of the hosts right now for my marriage counseling. And so hopefully some of you all will take advantage of that. One of the sisters, she always highlights, people go find experts and coaches and go to school for all the things they want to do in life. And people are not seeking out coaching and expertise for the most important decision that most will ever make, is deciding who you will spend your life with and have children with. And so we're giving you that opportunity relatively, for a steal, if you will. But I hope some of you go further and be above and beyond just even what we're doing with the private podcast. All right, I stole an extra 4 minutes from you, but thank you for your time, Queen. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. We're going to follow us at Black Love Dialogue on Instagram. That's the main page where you'll be getting the information. You could even DM us if you want to be a part of the broadcast. We will be inviting people in our circles, and we're going to build something special for those who are serious about love, marriage, and legacy. Thank you for your time, Queen.
Thank you.
All right, stay on real quick. I'm going to keep you on after this real quick.